Tales of Wells Fargo, starring Dale Robertson, usually seen at this time, will not be seen tonight so that we may bring you the following special program.
TV, movies, anime, comic book creators too. Shop for comics, toys, and more. Dress up as a hero, Terrific Con. August 8th through the 10th at Mohegan Sun. Tickets on sale now at terrificcon.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for another Word Balloon Scene Missing, a Western edition. And we're really excited. Myself, Gabe Hardman, happy to welcome back to the show Alexander Nevsky. And Nick, am I going to say your name right? Balle?
Absolutely, 100%.
Fantastic, man. Yeah. Listen, Alex and Nick are in a fantastic new movie that is playing now on Sumo Play for free. XUMO. If you're not aware of that streamer, you should be. Because right now you can watch their fantastic new movie, The Wide West. And here I've even got the way it looks on Sumo. So it's a Sumo original, and it's one of the picks of the week right now. And you just go to Discover, and you'll find it there and stuff. But a really neat movie where East meets West. Sumo on Sumo, if you will. It's two sumo wrestlers who come to America. Alex, tell us the story.
First of all, good evening, everyone. And John, thank you very much for having me and Nick. And let me tell you, already you made my evening because, you just put my image, inside of the intro with all the greats. I mean, right before Clint Eastwood. And you already made my evening. So thank you very much for that. And thank you again for all the support. Thank you. And the Wide West, I mean, come on, can you imagine? In my previous films, I had a bodybuilder from Russia in the Westerns. And now, I have also two guys from Japan, and they both like real sumo champions, and it's just amazing, amazing movie. And as you said, people in North America, they can watch it on Sumo Play. And Sumo Play, it's basically Universal Pictures answer to Tubi, because I'm sure a lot of your viewers, they know what Tubi is, and Fox Entertainment owns Tubi, and now Universal pushing Sumo Play. So our Western is on Sumo. It's based on real story, and yes, it's about very first ever, Japan delegation is traveling from Japan to United States to meet with Theodore Roosevelt, and of course they got stuck, in some small town in California, and there's also suddenly interesting, mysterious gambler, who actually, then that's another story, because as you know, in all my movies, I'm the biggest guy around. Here, I mean, forget about it. I mean, they were so much bigger. And the only good thing was when I had my scenes with Nick, because, he's much more handsome than me, but he's still smaller. So I was trying to have more scenes with him compared to my sumo guys. But I mean, it was an amazing ride, and I'm so glad you liked the movie, John, and I hope your audience will like it too.
Alex, your movies are always fun, and Nick, you did
Thank
a
you.
hell of a job. I got a photo. You're the Alex is the mysterious stranger gambler that comes to town, and as Alex said, so we've got two sumos that are part of a Japanese delegation, and the plan is to come and meet Teddy Roosevelt, and Teddy is in the movie, which is fantastic. I'll ask you about him later, but
Mhm.
this is great. Now, these two guys are real sumo champions, and Alex, I'll ask you guys which one is which. So, which actor is this?
This is Ichi. He played Ichiro. Ichi, he is the professional sumo champion, and he has Emperor's Cup, Japanese Emperor's Cup. So he is super pro, and he's like world champion, professional world champion in
Yeah.
sumo. Ichi, yes.
And then,
And
all right,
ano-
so then we have Hiroki Sumi.
Hiroki Sumi, yes, and Hiroki is also a sumo champion, and actually, he already started his acting career. He was in John Wick 4, and in Japan, he did a very good TV show for Netflix Japan. He did Sanctuary. It's a very good show. So they both, again, besides the fact that they both like 600 pounds, and much bigger than me, as I just said. Besides that, I mean, they're great guys, and it was a huge joy working with them.
That's great. Here, Carrie's watching us, and she says, this already sounds fascinating. I'm glad I got here. Teddy is so much fun to learn about, and I love real historic films. Yeah, I mean, it is, and in fact, the movie ends with a closing sequence of real photographs of the real sumo wrestlers, of Teddy, and explaining the real trip. Now, obviously, this is fictionalized to a degree, but this is great. So, first, I'll ask you, Alex, like, how did you hear about this story, and what inspired you to make this type of Western?
I should give a compliment to my friend Andrew Frone, who, first of all, he is my longtime friend. I know him for a long time, but also he is the one who really pushed Japanese culture and sumo culture, if you want, in the United States, in North America. So every time you see sumo wrestlers in movies like in Ocean 13 or Members of the Geisha or John Wick 4 or Ballerina, it's always Andrew because he represents all of them outside of the Japan. And he, again, as I said, he's the director of U.S. Sumo. And me and him, we know each other for 25 years. And, of course, he's a big fan of my films, and he's very happy about everything what's going on with me. But me and him, we had a breakfast last year. We spoke about, everything what we're doing. And suddenly, we spoke about the movie Red Sun. Remember Red Sun? With Charles Bronson and Tashiro Mifune and Alain Delon and Ursula Andress. We spoke about that. And I told him, Andrew, why shouldn't we produce something so your great stars, sumo stars, instead of making some cameos as they did in studio movies, they can have starring roles, and that's how the Wild West was born. But I should also compliment Nick because Nick is not just a great actor; he's also co-producer on the film. And me and him, we were supposed to do a completely different film. John, we were supposed to do a horror film together, because he just finished and released his thriller, Malicious, which actually people should watch on Prime Video. Great movie. It's available in the United States and in Canada. So we wanted to do a horror film. But when Nick heard the idea, he supported me a lot, and he supported me and Andrew. And together we produced The Wild West. But you should ask him, how can he, move from the idea of horror film with Russian bodybuilder to actually, Western, Japanese, American Western with sumo stars. I mean, that's his question for him.
Tell us, Nick. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, first of all, I've ever since I was a kid, I watched Westerns, and it was something that I was sort of on a bucket list of mine. Alex and I met not long after I completed the movie Malicious that I shot in Pennsylvania back in 2022, and we met at the American Film Market later that year, and we just, the director John Fallon, him and Alex had worked together before, and he's like, I really want you to meet Alex, and I think you guys will get along great, and we hit it off right away, and then within, I guess, 6 to 8 months, we had this horror movie idea, which, I love horror movies. I've done a few myself. They're a lot of fun to do. I really admire the work that Alex has done. And I was totally down 100%. I really liked the script. And then he came to me one day and he was like, look, I know we're working on this and it's not, we haven't put it to bed yet, but I have this other idea. And he told me about Red Sun and, that he had worked with Andrew. And anyway, the whole concept to me was, I was kind of already sold just on the idea of doing a Western. And I may have done any kind of Western, to be quite frank. This one is so unique. It's not your typical, obviously, Western. You have elements in it. First of all, Alex himself, and you have these the Japanese sumo wrestlers that it's just such a, it's so unique. Yet the fact that it's based on a true story, and obviously we take some artistic liberties, and of course, in our movie, the train breaks down and they end up in this small town, and they have to deal with some outlaw gang that I won't give too much away, but it was definitely not exactly how it happened in reality, but it just, for me, it just the whole idea, the whole concept, I'd always wanted to be in a Western. And I'll tell you, the experience was unlike any experience I've ever had. To live in that town, to shoot that movie day after day, it was such a great experience, such a great group of people, and I give credit to Alex for putting that amazing team together, and the whole, it's just kind of like this. The whole approach is always about having a good time and enjoying what you're doing, tell a great story, and it really, honestly, it shows in the final product.
That's excellent.
And are you guys still going to make this horror movie?
Hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Good answer.
Yes. Yes.
Also,
thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. Yes.
Well,
we should.
And both the director and the bad guy in this film, Joe Cornette, who of course was involved with your was it both of your previous Westerns, Alex, that you've done with Joe?
Yeah. He directed both Rio Bravo movies. Yes,
Yep.
he did. Mm-hmm.
That's great, and no, he's great as the leader of the gang.
Bad guy.
Absolutely the bad guy. Yeah, man. No, and Nick plays the judge, kind of a Butch and Sundance kind of. The judge is kind of in charge of the town and kind of lets Alex know right away, hey, you got to turn your guns in. It's so ironic, guys. I've beyond the Westerns that we watch for this, I've really been on a Western kick the last 6 months or so. And just recently I started watching again the Hugh O'Brien Wyatt Earp TV show. And that was one of the staples when it even because it even starts before he gets to Tombstone. And one of his things is, as the sheriff, he's like, all right, you got to check your guns. You can't have your guns in town, boys. You gotta leave them here at the sheriff's office. And there's a great scene with Alex and Nick right away as to kind of establish that rule of this town. So can I ask, where did you guys shoot this? Where were these sets?
Nick, please start and I continue.
Well, so the set was it's I can't remember the specific area, but it was about half an hour outside of Palm Springs, in the desert of California, and it was built by a German guy who had immigrated to America, I think in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. It took him about 25 years.
Wow.
He grew up a Western fan, and he built this thing basically himself. And it really is, the detail is really phenomenal. Everything, the blacksmith shop and all the equipment in there, and the sheriff's, the jail, the saloon, you name it. It was really quite a great. It was so easy to be in that world because, you're not in a studio, or in a house that's made to look like a Western. I mean, you're there, and they had these. It was such a great place to be, and I loved it, and I hope to get to be able to work there again because it just makes it that much easier to be able to live in that world.
Yes, and the name of this ranch is White Horse Ranch. And married couple owns it, Peter and Maureen. And Peter was the one who built it, obviously. But Maureen, she's also, she's very talented, and she always helped with wardrobe. She has like a huge wardrobe office over there.
Okay.
And actually, it was her who helped Nick with all his outfit. And I don't know if you saw it, but I think what Nick had in the film, it was an homage to great Gary Cooper in High Noon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he will talk more about it. But me personally, my inspiration was Charles Bronson in Red Sun, for very obvious reason. Because in those movies, Charles Bronson was different. He was just different. He wasn't just like in all the other movies, like a hero, like stoic and hard-boiled and all of that. Basically, like the people who I played before in my action films or even in Rio Bravo westerns. In Red Sun, he was, he was a little funny. He was, more about having fun and not about like killing bad guys left and right. That's how it was for him in Red Sun, and that's what I was trying to show in the Wild West. But Nick, definitely, he had Gary Cooper's inspiration, right, Nick?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when I read the script, it just right away it made me, it's like this guy who's, facing his own, having to kind of like, it was almost kind of, there was a sense that he felt alone, and he needed to bring people together to, fight a common enemy. And it just, right off the bat, I just knew like that was the, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll use other people or characters in movies or in real life to inspire what I see my character to be. And again, because I grew up watching movies like that and I wanted to emulate them, I was like, I feel like this is a great opportunity. So I said to Alex at the time, I was like, I'd really love, this is the character. And I sent him pictures of Gary Cooper, and I was like, yeah, if they could give me something similar. I mean, I'm not the sheriff, so I didn't have the badge. It was the only thing. But if you look at his photos and my photos, it's almost identical wardrobe. And it was just, it was something that I really felt fit well, and I'm glad we made that choice,
Yeah, no, I get it. Absolutely, man.
No,
And no, there are those tropes of, in your case, the judge, but like Gary Cooper, the guy going around town and going, hey, this gang is coming. They're going to burn the town. I need backup.
Help me out.
And that same difficulty. And even Alex's character is reluctant to help you and everything at first. No, it's a lot of great tropes here, guys. I mean, I love the fact that Alex's character is a gambler, and we get the classic Western poker game happening. And also the games that the Sumo guys play as well. Shame on me. I have it, and I'll find it. The photo of, I'm assuming that was Kaz Kobayashi as the translator and kind of the guy guiding the Sumos to town, right? I'll find this picture while we're talking about him. Tell me about Kaz's part in the movie.
He's also a martial artist, and I think he's really good actor if we talk about a little comedy. Because, he did a great job. And you're absolutely right. Because he's also Japanese. Kaz, yes, he's right here. He really helped with translation. Because Hiroki and Ichi, they don't speak much of the English. Sure. They're all great. And by the way, we spoke about it before, John, when I was on your show before. If we talk about sport in general, in martial arts, because I know you're a huge boxing fan, and we spoke about that a lot. And I started with boxing long before bodybuilding. I started with boxing, and Kaz is martial artist, and both Hiroki and Ichi, yeah, I know for people when they talk about sumo, it's not like traditional martial art, but in reality, and Nick is my witness. These guys, they're real athletes. They super strong. They super flexible. Yes, because of the sport, they have to be that big. But besides their weight, I mean, they're real athletes. And on the set, they were like samurais. Because, yeah, as Nick said, we shot in a Californian desert. And it was really, really hot when we shot it. And I mean, it was hot for Nick, it was hot for me, and can you imagine for 600-pound guys how hot it was? They never complained, never did, even once. And when we had like 12-hour days or 13-hour days, I mean, they were there working. So talking about discipline and talking about sport and athletes in movies.
How long a shooting schedule did you have for this?
We were kind of lucky because we shot it in two parts. First, we spent like almost a couple of weeks. First, we were working on Japanese part of the film, if you want. I mean, because these guys, they live in Japan.
Yeah.
And we just had to find the time when they were here. And that's when we, organized and shot mostly their scenes which involved all Japanese characters. And later, we got back and we worked on our scenes and we worked on action and all of that. So, on independent movies, you're lucky if you have a few weeks to shoot, I mean, I was making bigger movies, I was making smaller movies. For example, Maximum Impact, which John watched, it was my biggest movie, which was directed by Andrzej Bartkowiak, who directed Doom and Roma Must Die and Cradle to the Grave. And this is Prime Video film in North America. So that movie, we shot over 2 months, right? With the Wild West, I mean, few weeks, and about 3 weeks total, if we talk about work and some extra shots with, different bad guys and all of that. But we were able to do it, to be honest with you, only because we were all like a real team.
And it's all one. I mean, it's one location. You have you're all there. You can, you
Yes.
have the ability to shoot wherever you want to shoot within that space, right? So that's got to help.
Yes, but actually the president, and John mentioned president, Lee Dawson, great actor. He played the President Roosevelt. Since we're presidents, we shot outside the town because, of course, we couldn't find a location which looked like, his residence in Western town. But it was extra couple of days.
So did you go to that actual house of Roosevelt's to shoot that scene, or is that that's fine? I mean, it's great because really, I mean, it is a white house, and I knew it wasn't. And you guys even say in the movie it's his summer residence and everything.
Yes,
but no,
Yeah, movies are fake, John. Like you shoot them at. Like
Come on, don't ruin for John. No, don't tell him that. No.
He's blowing my mind telling me stuff like that. Absolutely, that's fantastic. Well, and also, and first of all, it's great that not only did the guys the Sumos did such a great job just being themselves and everything, but you actually have this great little sumo match that they do for the town, and that's really an interesting thing to see in the middle of the town square, that they build, basically a ring for these two guys to have a sumo exhibition and everything. That's fantastic. And I noticed too, Alex, you and one of your other producers, and was it Kaz, that the three of you that did the fight coordination for the sumos?
It was me and Andrew. But Kaz, for his credit, he was very good with sword, and we used a lot of his ideas for a couple of sword fights. Yeah, because he is a good martial artist. Yes, there's no question.
How fun is it to get to have basically a quasi samurai sword fight in the middle of do you guys all have experience with sword fighting, with dealing with that sort of stuff, or is that something that you're coming in and just trying to emulate other stuff?
So I'll tell you about Japanese part of fighting and fight choreography, and Nick will tell you a little bit how we did, Western part of action, because actually we used his idea for the main thing. He will tell you that in a second. But if I talk about the Japanese part of action, I was lucky because Andrew Frone, he was there, and he's a huge sumo expert. As I said, he was hired by studios on Ocean 13, on John Wick 4. Every time when they use sumo wrestlers, they hire him also to choreograph, not just to get the guys, but also choreograph. And that was his idea, to give them the table to attack the bad guys, to basically use their strength. And also it was his idea that they didn't kill anyone. In those big fights at the end of the movie, they just basically grab them and kind of like arrest them because they're not violent, And Kaz had those ideas about swords. And to be honest with you, if it was strictly my decision, I would have more, and I would have more like samurai sword fights with a lot of cowboys around and whatever. If you remember that Sun, they had an amazing thing, which, in my opinion, was clear homage to Kurosawa when they have Tashiro with his sword and a lot of Indians around him, and there's burning corn around them. So it's in my opinion, it was a strict homage to Kurosawa. I would have something like that, but Andrew thought that it's better if we have like less violent action for Japanese characters. But for us, for Western action, Nick, please tell a little bit about that.
Well, it's funny because, again, like I have these like childhood dreams that I've always had. So, and because I'm one of the producers and I'm working with Alex, and Alex is so open and so willing to entertain any ideas that I may have, good or bad, and he'll be happy to tell me if it's not so great. But I was just like, I had this vision, and I said, I'd really love for your character and my character to be walking down the main street of the town, and we're just, either we're killing bad guys or we're looking for bad guys, but just that was the vision that I had. And sure enough, it was, he executed that. He was the one that put that together. There's a scene where the two of us, and remind me which movie it is, Alex, because it's an homage to another.
It's for a few dollars more. When Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood fighting together, bad guys, they fighting together. They had kind of scene like that, And again, when Nick told me about his vision, I was so happy because I was thinking about that. Joe Carnett is an amazing guy, and of course he helped us to choreograph the standoff in the end, right? All those Mexican standoff and everything. But I also wanted to add some like action things for action fans, because John, that in my movies I'm trying to combine action all the time, and not only because I'm a huge fan, but also if we talk about business side of westerns for a second, which is important. If you produce a western, and it doesn't matter, big studio western or small independent western, you almost always sell it in North America, because in North America westerns sell and people love them. Maybe in theaters, maybe on DVD, maybe on streaming, but people love them. Internationally, it's much harder to sell the western, and that's why even studios. I don't think you will name me a lot of big budget westerns which they made lately, because I think starting with 310 to Yuma, the new one with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
I think it was a great film, but I think they didn't have much from international. In America, it was kind of successful, but not internationally. And you need international success to justify the budget for studio movie and sometimes for bigger independent movie. So my point is, what I started to do with Gunfight and Gunfight at Rio Bravo, and Joe Carnett supported me with that. We had Western, but also we had an action film. We had an action film at the same time. And if you remember, in Gunfight and now here, in the end of the film, like last 25 minutes, I don't have a hat. Yeah, I have sunglasses, which basically old-fashioned, but still sunglasses.
Yeah.
I have a jacket, which old-fashioned, but still leather jacket. I'm kind of like Terminator. I have a cigar, which is homage to we know who, right? And and all of that. Yeah, and I start to kill the guys. And Nick is amazing because he also supported all my ideas. And actually, he gave my character more things to do, because he looked like a real cowboy over there. I mean, it's just, and I didn't have a hat, and he had a hat, and it was still a Western. But internationally, I'm sure we'll do the same what we did with Gunfight. With Gunfight and Taken, we were able to sell it everywhere as an action film, action Western, if you like. Yeah. And that's what we will do with the Wild West. We just started with North America. So going back to, from business to art, right? From art to business and from business back to art. I mean, to choreograph action, it's amazing, especially when I'm involved and my friends, and we're all open to the ideas. And I felt like a kid, like a kid playing, cowboys and Indians. It was huge fun.
That's great. Also, I've noticed, Alex, that and again, I mean, this is a compliment. Much like John Ford, you've got your crew that is always with you, and I mean, beyond their other roles. For instance, Joe directs the movie and is also the bad guy. I noticed the guy, and by the way, excellent music score. Is it Sean Murray?
Sean Murray. Yeah. Sean Murray. Yes.
Great. And I guess Sean's in the movie.
He's playing a mayor who got killed, and finally he has some lines. Because he almost always in our films getting killed, but now at least he had lines before he got killed. Yes, but he's in the movie playing a mayor. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic, man. No, that's really, really cool. It's a shame because again, beyond the obvious and classic Westerns and stuff, I'm really also interested in that period of the 60s and 70s when we had so many international Westerns being made. Mm-hmm. And you would have, they'd shoot them in Spain. You'd have a really fully international cast. You had Italian actors, you had other European actors and everything. So it is I am a little surprised that maybe the genre has died out a bit beyond North America and stuff. So that is interesting to learn.
It's interesting because, and Nick is my witness, there's so many people in Los Angeles who will tell you, you know what, we're here for the art, not for the money. And they're talented, and they really, they're talented. Some of them talented actors or directors or writers. It's just, in my personal opinion, you cannot succeed in that business. I mean, probably you can accidentally, but if we talk about real success and continued success, you just cannot do it without understanding the business side of it. Because what you just said, John, again, we were talking about Red Sun, right? Red Sun, which was made in 1971. I mean, probably they put it together in 1970, right? They released it in 71.
Yeah.
Check what they did. They got American star, Charles Bronson. They got Japanese star, Toshiro Mifune. They got big European stars, Alain Delon and Ursula Andress. Alain Delon wasn't just French star at the time. He was huge European star, And Ursula Andress just did, I think, James Bond's film by that time. And she was like biggest sex bomb of Europe. So they put all these guys together and ladies. And that's how they pre-sold the idea, because they had already Charles Bronson for the United States. They had those actors for Europe. They had Mifune for Japan, because they knew how to sell the film. And again, I understand that probably for some of the audience, they expect us to talk more about, directions, about acting, and we will. But I think for all those inspiring filmmakers out there, they should learn how to really, make a movie. They shouldn't wait for anyone to give them the chance. And we spoke about that before, John, when I was on your show. We should entertain people. And I hope the Wild West will entertain people. And even that, our conversation, besides my broken English, will entertain people as well, right? It's just, I also hope that we will give like a right positive message to all those people. Because if we produce movies one after another and know how to make them, how to sell them, how to promote them, it means other people can also do that, So it's all possible. They should just push for the dream harder.
So on the business side of things, when, as far as I guess my question is, why stick with the feature film format in a world where that isn't necessarily the thing that everybody is? I mean, look, this is what I love. I've worked in features since the 90s. I just finished this movie with Steven Spielberg. This is what I'm interested in, right? But as far as are there business reasons to push you towards continuing to make feature film formatted films as opposed to television or vertical streaming or whatever? There's a bunch of different options for things that you could conceivably do. Now, what's the reason to stick with the feature film format?
Nick, you want to start, or you want me to start?
You start. That's definitely your wheelhouse.
First of all, television is completely different business. Mm-hmm. It's completely different business. And again, if we talk about sport for a second, I was a professional bodybuilder before, and in bodybuilding, it's very important to be realistic. You have to understand your strong parts. You have to understand your weak parts. You have to. Mm-hmm. I mean, in boxing as well, right, John? In boxing as well, And here, I don't know anything about television business. I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. What I do know that it's much harder to make money on TV because it's especially now, because all the streaming platforms, as you both know, they're making their own product. They don't need independents, producing pilots or whatever. They're making it themselves. That's one thing. And the other thing is, if you make genre films, and if you're smart, and if you know what you're doing, you will always make money. That's what I think. And I produced my first film in 2003. It was released in 2004, Moscow Hit, with great Michael York and Joanna Pakula and Adrian Paul, English language motion picture. And to that day, I produced 17 projects already. I'm having huge fun. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you work with Steven Spielberg, you work in studio system. I did studio movies. I did a couple of studio movies. My very first film as an actor was Undisputed with great Walter Hill. Mm-hmm. I also worked with Sofia Coppola on Somewhere. I worked on studio films, and sometimes it's kind of safer, sometimes, but I think mostly for an actor. For an actor, it's safer. For producer, I strongly believe that if you're a producer and you wanna know how to not just produce the movie, but how to make money out of movies, how to make them one after another, because in that environment, I mean, everyone can make a movie. I mean, you can borrow the money, you can, mortgage your house or whatever. You can do whatever, or just try to do it with no budget. And it's not about that. For me, it's about business. And I was lucky because I graduated even before I moved to the United States. I graduated from Moscow State University of Management, and I had my PhD in economics over there. And of course, it helped me a lot when, 10 years later, I started to produce. Again, it's possible, and I know what I'm doing, to be completely honest with you. Yeah. TV, or what you mentioned, vertical format for TikTok or whatever. I mean, I love publicity. I love PR. I love publicity. But, I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, but I know that all the kids now, they look at the TikTok. And I'm not even on TikTok because, it's just, I don't even understand how to deal with that, for 2 minutes, whatever. So to be completely honest with you, it's just, you should know what you're doing. And for me, it's future films.
Yeah, and to add to that, you because I worked in TV for many years as an actor, and I see the different hierarchies and all the different levels that you need to get through in order to finally get a television show aired. And of course, there's many steps for film, but I feel like as an independent filmmaker, we have a lot more autonomy. We have a lot more control over our own, what we want to do and how we want to do it. And of course, you have to have the avenues to find distribution and promotion. And Alex is a master at that. And to get it to an audience, and thank you guys once again for bringing us on your show. I mean, we couldn't do it without guys like you, honestly, because this is how you get it to your audience, right? People,
sure.
So many great movies and albums, that don't get noticed, and then you find out, oh my God, that movie! I can't believe it's such a great movie, and it was made 35 years ago, and just because you didn't know about it. So for us to get our movie to a proper audience, and from sort of the inception to the completion, at least in our experience, feature film we have more control over what we want to be doing and how we want to go about doing it. Working in television, it was like, oh, well, I've got, the casting director and the director and the producer and then the network and then the executives. I mean, it's like, it's a wonder anybody ever gets anything done, right? Because there's layers to it. And of course, in film, that happens too, in the studio system. But a lot of, now these days, a lot of people like us are out there making films, and you can do it, as Alex stated earlier on, that, there's people can do it on and not necessarily have to be within the structure of a system that's already in place, that they can just do it themselves, and they don't even have to be in Hollywood to do it. They can be anywhere. And they, in some cases, people make movies just with an iPhone. It's
Sure.
pretty incredible what people can put together. But it's not just about coming up with, with an idea and a script and actors and producing it. It's how do you complete it? How do you distribute it? How do you promote it? And how do you get it to an audience that's going to actually appreciate it? And hopefully it brings in revenue so that you can continue doing more movies like that and entertaining people and doing what we love to do, of course, because it entertains us. We love what we do. We're not doing it only for the money. I mean, nobody's going to lie when they say, like, it's great to have money come in, but we love what we do. And hopefully it translates on the screen as well.
Well, you guys are right. And Nick, you're absolutely right. It is awareness, and it is that barrier of making something great, but making people aware of it and getting it to the right audience. And believe me, I know, and not only with the TV and film people that I speak to, but even the people that make comic books, they have the same problem with creator-owned things. So
I know that's me too. I mean, I make comics as well, so as well as working in movies.
Yeah.
But so Nick, what's your we didn't get to talk to you the last time.
Yeah.
What's your origin story? You've been acting since the 90s, right?
Yeah. I started in the early 90s and really professionally, probably mid to late 90s. I was studying and then so I grew up in Montreal, Canada. Then I moved to Toronto in the late 90s, which is kind of a much more, active market, although Montreal was very busy, but a lot of it was French, and I do work in French as well, but not as much. So I moved to Toronto and eventually I started a theater company, a Shakespeare company that still runs today. They're not doing Shakespeare anymore, but I think they had their 22nd anniversary. We started in 2002.
Wow.
My ex-wife and I, and we produced probably over 50 theater productions, live theater productions. So it really kind of gave me a basis to understand how to put things together and have the confidence to just, because when you start out, you kind of don't know what you're doing, you just sort of throw yourself in it and you figure it out. And then, but all along I was always auditioning and, I'd get bit parts here and there. then I started to do more in the early 2000s. And for quite some time, I mean, I made a very good living at doing commercials. I did a lot, probably 100 commercials over the years. And, you know, various network television shows, a lot of Lifetime movies, Hallmark movies.
Great.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, great, man. Yeah.
I mean, that was my bread and butter for probably, you know, quite a few years. So yeah, and I would do episodic television, guest star, co-star, whatever came along. And, you know, I always thought of myself as like a kind of blue collar, lunch pail actor that, you know, kind of does what he's got to do, hired gun, shows up, always prepared, ready to have a good time, but, you know, ready to deliver. And so I learned a lot about how all of that operated, and that I was often at the mercy of other people. You know, somebody's going to decide whether I'm worthy or good enough to do whatever they think I'm good enough at. And there's a million reasons why an actor won't get a role, many more reasons than why they will. And most of them have nothing to do with anything other than, you know, you didn't fit for whatever reason. But, you know, it can weigh on you. You know, working with people like Alex, it just kind of gives me that ability to be able to execute what I want to be doing, work on projects that I want to be working on, play roles that I want to play, work with people that I want to work with, you know, and you're not sort of at the mercy of others. So I've kind of let all that go, and I still do audition, and I play roles here and there when they suit my timing and they interest me. But, you know, I much prefer to do the things that we're doing and create our own projects and just kind of continue down that path, you know.
Very cool. You know, Alex, I gotta find you in Undisputed, because when I was working for a national sports network, I did do an interview with Walter Hill about Undisputed. So that's really cool, man. You know, yeah, I love that movie. It's for people who don't know, Undisputed is a great jailhouse boxing movie, and it was kind of a fictionalized. It was Wesley Snipes and Ving Rhames as the leads, and they end up fighting each other because Ving Rhames is kind of based on a Mike Tyson kind of situation where the heavyweight champion finds himself incarcerated, and Wesley Snipes plays the jailhouse boxing champion. And they fight each other. It's a great Peter Falk in it, fantastic movie. So I gotta find you in there, Alex. That's really cool. I didn't know you made Undisputed.
Do you fight?
Please go. Yes, I did, but not Ving Rhames and not Wesley Snipes. I fought Michael Rooker, who played the warden in a movie. Oh yeah. So I spent about 10 days, almost 2 weeks in Nevada. We shot in a real prison, John. And of course, you have to, you know, you have to put like on pause, you know, a couple of times to really see me, you know, in the end of the day. But Walter liked me so much, they gave me, if you go to the credits, I'm the first one in stunt players. They gave me like a first position in stunt players because it was my first film. And I thought I'll be just an actor. But of course, as Walter saw me, told me, oh, come here, you know, you will fight with Rooker all the time. And I thought they should see my biceps, you know, and whatever. So I told them, I don't need all this safety stuff. I mean, I don't care. Just, you know, shoot me as it is. And of course, they shot one take with me without any, you know, any bandages or any patches. And after that, of course, when I understood that we'll spend another week basically fighting, I cannot put it on anymore because they already shot me without it. So,
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
Exactly. So but you know, because I was a boxer, of course, I loved it anyway, and it was the first film. And Walter Hill was amazing, and Brad Krivoy was another producer, and Andrew Sugarman, who actually introduced me to Cole McKay, who was a fight choreographer. I mean, that was the first great experience, you know, and they invited me to Stunt Association after that, not just to SAG. It wasn't SAG after yet, it was just Screen Actors Guild. So they invited me to both associations and all of that. So that was great. But as I told you, you will have to put on pause a couple of times to really see me and my poor biceps over there. Yeah.
That's outstanding. And again, everybody, and I've put it up on the banner a few times, but you can watch The Wide West, their movie, Nick and Alex's movie here, on Zumo Originals. How did you get Zumo? Because as you said, these, I mean, are they participating in any producing way? But how did you hook up with Zumo to have the movie play there? And again, everybody, it's free. It's one of those great fast, what they call it, free advertising supported television, a fast channel, or I always make the joke, or as we used to call it, television. Because because since the 40s, of course, there are commercials on television.
Yes.
So how'd you hook up with Zumo?
I should compliment my friend Stuart Olson and his team at ITN Distribution. It's great, pretty big now actually. It's a pretty big distribution company. And Stuart and me, we were introduced to each other in 2016, and it was him who made a deal for Netflix for my directorial debut, Black Rose, which became Netflix movie for 3 years exclusively. And of course, after that, we continued relationship with Stuart and you, John. All those movies of mine which you saw, Showdown in Manila and Red Prophecies. It was Stuart helping me with distribution, and it was him who actually Untaken from Rio Bravo on a previous film we did with Joe on domestic distribution. I wanted to push movie harder because Gunfight at Rio Bravo was distributed in America by Shout Factory, and Shout Factory is a great company. I mean, they kind of like they become a mini major or something. They're almost like Samuel Goldwyn or Lionsgate now, but because they have a lot of films, they're doing great. They placed your movie properly everywhere so people can find it, but it's very hard to push them to push your movie because they have so many movies. And of course,
yes.
I mean, for 1 week they will do it, but the other week they have another movie, The Wesley Snipes, or another movie like straight to DVD movie with I don't know, Wing Rames or someone else, and they just move on. So again, they did a great job. We were very happy, but Untaken on sequel, I approached Stuart and I said, hey, let's can we do something bigger? And it was him who made a deal, exclusive deal with Zumo, Untaken from Rio Bravo. And Zumo at the time, it was completely new because everyone knew Tubi, but I think Universal just bought Zumo at the time, and they started to promote it. And because probably not many people gave them exclusives at the time in 2024, yes, 2024, 2023, when we made the deal, they really pushed the film. And right now it's like 40 million unique users every month. And of course, it's not like they all watch your movie, but at least they have a chance. And if your poster, exactly, and if your poster on the main page, they will see that. Mm-hmm. So we had an amazing experience with them. We gave them exclusive as well as with the Wild West, because it will be on Zumo exclusively for all the summer. But in September, it will be on VOD, on video on demand. It will be on Prime Video, on all the digital platforms and everywhere. And later, it will be on other platforms like Tubi and AVOD, YouTube channels, and all of that. It's just, John, you have to have great partners. You have to have great partners when you're making a movie. And Nick just mentioned he's a Shakespearean actor. Of course, I was trying to have more scenes with him because he would push me as an actor to be better. Same thing. You have to have a great partners in distribution because it's tough to put it together. It's tough to shoot it. It's tough to finish it, but it's super tough to really distribute it properly, And that's exactly, and that's how I always compliment Stuart and his team, and that's how we got to Zumo. To answer your question, they're not making the original content yet. They're not producing yet. Okay. Tubi is already doing it. Tubi is doing actually Michael Ruther and Bruce Willis. I think it was one of the last Bruce Willis's projects. They did like a TV series for Tubi, Michael and Bruce Willis. This one, I hope maybe next year or year after next, when Zumo start to produce, we'll do something with them. But our main target right now is just to get ourselves also Japanese release, John. And right now, we have producer reps who are talking to Netflix Japan. because Hiroki Sumiki is already a star over there, for Netflix Japan. And we hope that, the Wild West will be Netflix Japan premiere over there.
And then you're gonna have to work on that that Wide West sequel that has your giant sword fight in it, right? Like I'm telling you, giant sword fight right out of the gate.
Why not? Well, and also not to spoil, but I love the way the movie ends because there is the possibility. I mean, I want everyone to understand this movie absolutely has an ending, but there is some story here that could obviously extend to a sequel. I assume that's what you have in mind, given the way things wrap up.
Yes, and actually, we had a trilogy in mind, not a sequel. Just to answer your question, exactly, we have a trilogy in mind. So don't expect them to meet the president in the second one. They will still be traveling. Yes, until the end of the third one. Exactly.
That's great. That's great. I was surprised, Alex, because when you told me about this movie, I was expecting it to be your character from the Rio Bravo movies, and again, I think you do a great job, and it is a different character and everything. Are you going to go back to that Rio Bravo character?
Yes, and right now we're almost ready to start pre-production on the third film, which is Last Heroes of Rio Bravo, and Nick is on board, so we'll do it all together, and I'm very excited because those characters. I mean, he's first of all, as you know, he based on a real guy, John Basil Turchin, right? And also, he was my first character in the westerns. Anyway, of course, I want to play him again, especially after I played this guy because Max, he's kind of hero, but not really, And Nick's character has to play him, to be like to be a real hero, right? And it was interesting to play him, but of course, I'll be happy to go back to Rio Bravo franchise. I'll be happy to.
It makes it interesting when you have to overcome challenges, and that it's not a straightforward thing. If it's easy, then it's less interesting. And for us to see the different challenges that Alex's character had to work with, and that my character had to work with, and that Tatiana Neva's character had to work with, she was fantastic in the movie as well. And Taka, I mean, it's, to me, it just makes it more, it just has more layers to it, and that we're not, really you have to like overcome something and people can relate to that, right? Because the average person is not a hero,
Yeah, sure.
You have to rise through some of your personal challenges, whether it's fears or just you just don't want to even like entertain the idea, whatever it is, so it made it interesting to see that,
and it's conflict, it's harder drama.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And, I'm glad to see that Zumo, beyond having you right there on the front page of the platform, and makes it very easy for people to look it up. And right there, as you can see, I had the tab up, free movies, boom, Wide West. But also, I was watching their live presentation. They were showing the NBA draft, and they ran a commercial for the Wide West on there, which is fantastic, man.
They push in the film.
Yeah,
Nice.
That's great. That's wonderful, man. And also, I hear what you're saying about TikTok. And listen, man, I'm just starting to make videos. Bill Maher, the political commentator and comedian, said, and I absolutely agree with him. He said, it seems like with podcasting and what I do, they want 2 hours of audio, but 1 minute of video. That's what the consumer wants. So I would say, obviously, you've got this commercial that's running on Zumo. Throw that up on TikTok, man. I mean, it looks great.
Yes, but I think what you should do before we're done with our show. You should find the photo of Tatiana Neva and just put the photo of Tatiana Neva, so at least we will prove the audience that it's not just handsome men or bodybuilders or huge sumo wrestlers. We also have beautiful women, in a film. And Tatiana, she is beautiful, stunning, and she's also very talented, and she is supportive. And we really exactly that's. Yes, that's Tatiana. That's great. Tatiana. I mean, she's amazing, and she did an amazing job as an actress. And as we spoke before, we just had an amazing team, John. Amazing international team. because I became American citizen in 2019. I love America, but I'm still, I'm from Russia, and Nick is from Canada, and Tatiana is from Russia as well, and Joe, he's an American, and Ichiro and Hiroki, I mean, they're from Japan. So we really, and Ichi actually originally from Mongolia, and Hiroki is from Japan. So we really had that amazing international team, and we're not talking politics, but with all this negativity around, unfortunately, and it doesn't matter if we talk about United States or Canada or Russia or whole the world. Yeah, there is a lot of negativity. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to bring positive message, not just entertain people, but also bring positive message. And I just hope that we're succeeding with that.
Well, again, this was a callback to those great international westerns that were made during the 60s and 70s.
Mhm.
And in fact, one of my viewers, Jiku Rojo, man, Alex, I got to rewatch Red Sun. I haven't watched it forever, but
You should.
he reminds us that it was directed by Terrence Young, the great British director who directed the first two Bond films and then came back for a third. I forget which one, but really Terrence Young's the guy who kind of taught Sean Connery to be sophisticated James Bond. And everyone I know who worked on the Bond films said Terrence Young should have been James Bond because he's the guy who taught Sean how to be more of a gentleman and kind of, suave and everything. But no, I love it, man. Hey, you're absolutely right. It sucks that the politics are as rough as they are right now. The great thing is people are still people. And I really think when they are together, we find a common ground. And hey, man, we at the end of the day, even though the politicians get in the way, I really think people just want to all get along.
Of course. No questions about it. Yes.
Yeah. So, guys, I also am curious, really, because again, there are so many great Western tropes in the Wide West. And I'm glad you mentioned Red Sun and High Noon. But some other favorite Westerns or Western stars?
Nick, please start, and I'll continue.
Well, I mean, I love Kevin Costner. I just,
Sure.
I mean, honestly, like the Dances with Wolves, and that's something that's always all of the Sergio Leone movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you really don't get any more Western than Clint Eastwood, obviously. I'd say, I mean, it's hard to say what my favorite would be. I'd say Unforgiven is right up there. Like I said, High Noon is something that's always been,
Oh yeah.
And all, like I said, all the Leone movies. So
Sure.
yeah, definitely that.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
For me, it's much easier because, as when I was a kid in Soviet Union, they never released Hollywood films in theaters. We didn't even have it on TV or anywhere. But thanks to Gorbachev and thanks to Perestroika, we got them all on pirated videos in the beginning of 90s.
That's
And-
great.
Oh yeah, and as a producer and a businessman now, I know that piracy is bad, whatever. But if we talk seriously, sometimes it can be just those necessary window for a lot of people into the positivity which we just mentioned a second ago. So when I started to watch, of course, I love Clint Eastwood, and he's amazing because I also watched him right away in action films, and he was also in westerns. But my favorite Western hero was always John Wayne because he was big, he was always clean shaven, and he never cursed or something, right? He was like real good guy, and he was big.
Yeah.
And of course, later I realized, that he made Rio Bravo because he didn't like High Noon, and they never made movies with Clint Eastwood together for some reasons, and he didn't like those dirty kind of westerns which Sergio Leone made, and even more violent ones as were made. But for me, he was the guy, and even with all due respect to Kevin Costner, of course, and Clint Eastwood, John Wayne and his movies, especially Rio Bravo. He's my favorite.
Oh, I hear you, man. That's fantastic. We a couple of weeks ago we did a show about the director of some of the '70s John Wayne movies, and he also is a big screenwriter, Burt Kennedy. and he made these great, with Bud Bedecker, the fantastic 50s and 60s Western director. He made these amazing Randolph Scott movies. And like you said, I also love, I'm saying this to you guys, but also for the audience, Scott Iman a couple of years ago wrote an amazing biography of John Wayne. It is so much detail about all the movies, even going back to his B movies from the 30s before he did Stagecoach and everything. Amazing just detail on each movie. And he kind of blew it because one of the best Randolph Scott movies, Seven Men
from Now, yeah, it was John Wayne's company produced it, and it's actually one of the great westerns, and it was, but they ended up he passed on it. John Wayne passed on it because he was making The Searchers at the time, and he didn't want to. He felt like the character was too similar, and but then ended up, it probably could have been a huge movie with him in it. Maybe he would have been miscast in it a little bit, but because it's perfect as it is. He was, his company was even responsible for some great.
And Mitchum, apparently Robert Mitchum passed on it too. And they're like, give it. And literally, according to Scott Iman's book, Wayne's attitude was, give it to Randolph Scott. He's not doing anything right now. He needs a good movie. And I think, kind of blew it and even realized how great the movie was, that it's like, maybe I should have made that movie and everything. So yeah, I love stories. And that's why, guys, truly, I'm fascinated by all Westerns and the ones of their time, of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and now you guys with Wide West. So I congratulate you guys. I think you did a hell of a job. And Alex, I loved the Rio Bravo movies as well. And I hope there's, I hope you guys do that horror movie that Nick wants to make. And also, we'd love to see you again in the next Western as well. You guys are
and put together a Western horror movie for the international audience.
Hey, God, did you guys ever see Bone Tomahawk?
Amazing film. Sure. Yeah. Amazing film. I loved it.
He's been the
amazing
filmmaker.
Film.
Yeah, Craig Zoller, Z.
Yes.
Craig Zoller. Yeah, Craig was on Word Balloon, and we talked about Bone Tomahawk. Absolutely, man. No, it's really. It's a very interesting time, and also again, Gabe and I certainly appreciate the challenge you guys have to put these things on platforms and get the awareness. So I mean, we're happy to do it for you guys. And
thank you, but let me just repeat, Nick, because you, John, and Gabe, you're really promoting independent filmmakers, independent creators, and I mean, we need it. We need it, and you're doing it. Yeah. And I also think that all four of us, we can and we should inspire the audience. Because you, John, I'm sure it's so much fun when we were doing those, hosting for CBS radio, right? And talking to everyone, to every famous boxer, and everything. Gabe, and I'm sure, you had fun not only working with Steven Spielberg, but when you doing your comic books, which I have huge respect for you. I'm sure I'm a huge fan of comics, just a huge fan. So I'm sure you're having fun doing that. Nick, he was having fun when he was producing for theater, right? And when he was doing TV and commercials. Now he's doing movies. And me, I was having fun doing bodybuilding and boxing before that, and movies after that. All of us, we're doing what we want, and we're having fun. And I just hope that our audience, they will just, they will try to do the same, just push themselves to do the same, right?
And look, we all got to make a living, but it is about connecting with the audience, ultimately, and that's the path to making a living as well.
Exactly. And fun. We should have fun. Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're a comic book fan, because beyond Gabe's writing and drawing, I'll embarrass him slightly, but he worked on the 2005 Superman Returns movie with Brandon Routh, and Gabe's actually, I always give it up to Gabe, because Gabe's the one who devised that scene where Superman saves the plane and he lands it in the baseball diamond, and then all of a sudden,
look, this is what I do for a living. I'm a storyboard artist, and I supervise previs, and I end up in situations where I craft sequences and stuff, and that's that ends up being part of the job, but that's I don't know. I'm trying to get out of this, and not actually, but yeah, no. That's that. it is about storytelling. It's about connecting with people, and and that's all I've ever done is tell stories, work on films and draw comics.
And Gabe, I hope you had fun and you're having fun doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
I'm passionate about it. You have to have passion to make independent films, right? Like it's not about just, it's not a one-way ticket to making a lot of money. Comics is the same. You have to be passionate about comics. Comics is a unique form of storytelling, and that's what draws me to it. I mean, I worked in movies exclusively for years, and I make more money in it, but I make comics because I want to tell stories that I'm passionate about.
These are things that we would do for free, and sometimes we do for free.
Oh yeah.
That tells you, if you couldn't do what you do for a living, would you do it as a hobby? We probably all would be continuing to do what we do as a hobby just because we enjoy it. And that's the ultimate gift, if you can do, and it's not always easy. And sometimes you really run into struggles, but you keep at it and you keep doing it and you love what you do. And that to me is like, it doesn't get any better than that.
Particularly if you can instigate the project and you can, and you have the power to get it going. I mean, as opposed to, there's, being a working actor is an amazing thing, but the project has to come to you. You can't act by yourself.
And once it's done, then you're back at square one, and
yes.
Unless, you're one of the elite, where it
they come to you. Yeah,
right?
The projects come
that
to you.
Next stratosphere. But the fact of the matter is, your job. I was actually talking to my sister about this today, saying my job was to interview. Was my job for much of my career, and that's a tough place to be, interviewing. Not these types of interviews, but the type where you're having to perform with the possibility of working, but you're not necessarily, most of the time it doesn't go your way. So it's just nice to be able to not have to rely on that,
Mm-hmm. No, and also we know too that certainly since COVID, now auditions don't even happen in the same room that you likely, Nick and Alex, when you're going for other jobs, you're doing it at home and reading lines and, in a vacuum. Yeah, exactly. Doing it on tape by yourself and hoping for the best. So believe me, we respect the challenge that is out there. And again, that's why you guys need to make your own stuff. And it's wonderful, Nick, that you're making horror movies and working with Alex on his movies as well. So
many more to come.
Attaboy. Good to hear, man.
Yes.
From both of you. Absolutely.
Thank
well,
you.
Honestly, guys, again, the Wide West is now, it's as it says right there. I took it right from Zumo's platform. Zumo Play. Is that the URL, Alex? ZumoPlay.com?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Zumo Play. There.
And man, honestly, and much like we described with Tubi and Pluto and some of the other free streamers out there and stuff, you're going to find a great wide range of TV shows and films, a lot of your favorites, and even live stuff. Because like I said, they were even running the NBA draft today on Zumo. But the good news is the Wide West is there on Zumo Play, and rightfully so. It's one of their picks. We urge the Word Balloon audience to go check out this fantastic movie that Alex, Nick, and company made. It's great, and you guys should be proud of it. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm seeing if there's a final comment here. I see somebody there you go. Carrie says, I can't wait to watch the film. Thanks for introducing me to it. I didn't know about Zumo either. Well, again, it's discovery. And as Alex really explained the backstory of Zumo, I'm glad they're there. Because also, hey, listen, I've got my subscriptions to the paid for streamers and stuff like that. But truly, I love watching things on Pluto and Tubi. And Alex, as you said, a lot of your movies are on Tubi and stuff. I'll be honest, that's where I grabbed that screen grab of you that was in the intro and everything, was grabbing it from the Rio Bravo movie that is sitting on Tubi. And everyone really beyond, we want you to watch The Wide West, but really dig into both Nick and Alex's filmography and check out some of the other great projects they've made over the years. You will not be disappointed. So congratulations, guys. And really, I appreciate you coming out. Gabe, any final thoughts or questions?
No, I think we covered it, but this was a great discussion.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. Absolutely.
You, guys. We really appreciate your support. Really do.
Well, it's our pleasure.
Thank you both. Thank you both. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. I've got 2 interviews tomorrow on Word Balloon. I'm a busy man. I kind of figure with 4th of July coming up, I should kind of stack some of these. So two different comic book interviews coming your way tomorrow on Word Balloon Live. I hope you'll join us. Until then, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.